Are you looking for a powerful way to get your message in front of a highly engaged audience? Hi, everybody. I'm Peter Stockdale with the Spin Market Report. Advertising on the Spin Market Podcast Network puts your business directly into the ears of our active listeners. Our podcasts have over 20,000 total streams in the last 12 months. That includes over 160,000 YouTube impressions and over 150,000 total views on YouTube combined. Whether you're promoting a product, service, or event, reach out to the Spin Market Podcast Network to find out how you can reach an actively engaged audience. So get heard today. Go to www.spinmarket.com to find out more information. Your business, your message, our platform.
It's the Spin Market Report. Here's your host, Peter Stockdale.
We are back. It's Marketing Monday, as it always is here
Always
on the
is at Spin Market.
Spin Market Report. We're sitting down with Theresa Hildreth today. Theresa, I guess I don't know, what is exactly your position with the Calhoun County Economic Development Corporation?
I am the executive director, and since February, I've also been serving as board president.
Oh, cool. All right.
I don't know about cool, but yeah.
Well,
Did the pay double?
Yeah, wouldn't that be sweet?
Okay. Well, we put the bug in their ear anyway.
let's get into some questions here.
Okay.
All right. So can you share your journey as to how you got there? Like what led you to becoming the executive director?
It was a phone call a couple of years ago, and it was right before the Iowa Utility Association's Dev 23. And I had called Keaton Hildreth, and he is related to my husband, but long distance. But I called Keaton. He was the president of Calhoun County Economic Development. And I said, hey, there's this conference in Des Moines, and I can't go. At the time, I was working on behalf of the Rock City Chamber.
Okay.
But I said, we really need to be represented here. So when does your new guy start? And you should send him to this. And they had gone through a search and had landed on a guy who was coming from outside the area to be the new executive director. And that day, Keaton said to me, well, he's not coming. Things didn't work out. He's not going to be joining us. And I said, so what are you going to do? He says, well, we have to start over because we had landed there and that's where we felt where we need to be. And he says, so we're going to open it up again. So we chatted a little bit and I says, hey, would you ever consider me? And his comment was, when can you come in? And one thing led to another, and lo and behold, in June of 23, I became the executive director of Calhoun County Economic Development.
So was there a motivation behind you volunteering your services to this, or just the need was there and you had some free time? I guess I don't know what we were talking a little bit about this. You might not have a whole lot of free time. So what was the motivation?
I knew I could do it.
All right.
And there was a need, and it's my home.
Mm-hmm.
It's where we've raised our family. We own a business locally. I knew the importance, and I felt like I could do it. And so I stepped up.
Nice. I like that a lot. I'd done a little bit of research on you. From what I had seen, it looks like you have experience in marketing, government. You had just mentioned you owned a business. Did these impact your approach to this at all?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Were these like the things that put the tools in the toolbox for you to be able to do this?
Oh, yes, by all means. As a business owner, I own a underground utility contracting business with my husband and my son.
Cool.
So if it goes in the ground, we can put it there.
Neat.
It's a neat industry, and
it's much needed right now.
Well, it is, and a lot of people have no idea when you flush the toilet where it goes.
It's true.
Right?
Yeah.
And we just did a career day at the elementary school, and that was one of the things that, as Tom was presenting, he says, when you flush the toilet, where do you think it goes? Kids don't know. And so we got to educate them, right?
Yeah. I mean, adults don't know. Some adults don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I had also spent a number of years working in the Iowa Senate.
Oh, cool.
And it was during that time that the realization of the need in rural Iowa and rural communities really became a forefront issue for me. It's not all about urban. It's really all about agriculture and rural Iowa. I mean, that is our bread and butter.
Yeah.
So being in a rural community, I just felt like I can do something to make this happen and to make things happen. And my background in marketing, people ask me today, do you like your job? I said, hey, I'm having fun. Mm-hmm. They're letting me design things. I'm redoing websites. I'm doing this, that, and the other thing. And I get to talk to people.
Yeah.
And share the story of where I live.
Which is really awesome. And I mean, Calhoun County, it's one county away from right here. And, we're located in Fort Dodge. So it's just kind of neat. I do spend a little bit of time over in Calhoun at a couple different places. I go to Byron's and Pomeroy and stuff. And I've been to
Best kept secret in the state.
Yeah. I will say this. It took me too long to go to the co-op over there too. The co-op's awesome too.
Great food.
Oh, I love it. Yeah. Somebody was like, you've never been there? No. Well, you got to go. So I went once. And
did you know that the co-op has like 63 owners?
I looked up why is it called the co-op? Because usually a co-op, you think multiple owners, and then of course
it takes a village to raise a bar.
Yeah.
Well, that was quite the accomplishment when they put that together, because when the restaurant closed, they were scrambling trying to figure out, okay, who's going to be the new owner? And
Exactly.
So the co-op came about.
It's collaboration.
Yeah, absolutely. So speaking of collaboration, let's go a little bit more into the Calhoun County economic development. What are the core objectives, and how do they align with the overall objectives maybe of the county?
I asked that same question when they hired me.
Okay.
I said, what do you want me to do? Because I could go so many different directions. And that's when we brought in a facilitator. We went through strategic planning. And out of that strategic plan came 4 priorities. And the very first priority is to sustain what we have. If we can't keep what we've got, something's really wrong. And then workforce. Workforce is important. We know that across the board, from teachers to healthcare workers to plumbers, electricians, bus drivers, school bus drivers. Oh my goodness. Who knew that would be such a big deal?
Oh, it is. It's really gotten to be a big deal.
It's terrible.
Yes. Especially because we're in rural communities.
And the miles.
And the miles that they have to drive and to get these kids to school.
And the commitment that they have to make. I mean, they have to make a commitment to show up on time.
On time, very much so.
Yeah. So, and then, so that's workforce, and then community development and capacity building.
All right.
Building our communities. What can we do for our people? How can we meet their needs? And then the 4th priority is business development, business recruitment to keep us thriving.
I do like that, because the first thing on there is sustain. You got to be able to make sure that you can keep what's here in order to, because otherwise building new things doesn't really behoove you too much if what's there is not staying there, which I think in small town Iowa or small county Iowa, which is honestly, I'm from Humboldt, same exact thing.
Same thing.
You need these people to stay there. And I feel like there's this mass exodus from these small towns that a lot of these counties are trying to stop in some capacity, where it's like, yeah, you go to the bigger city, but you got to have a reason to come back here to lend your talents back to the area where you were raised. And I feel like that's something that's difficult. A lot of us are trying to.
I think we're seeing a lot more of it.
A lot more of people leaving, or a lot more people coming back?
Coming back.
I
think that pandemic taught everybody that bigger isn't necessarily better.
Yeah.
Yeah, they like the quality of life. They want the smaller school system for their children.
Correct.
Cost of living.
Cost of living
is huge. Ability there, and the fact that really they're used to already traveling 30 minutes to get someplace. 30 minutes here can get you from Humboldt to Fort Dodge
easily,
almost, and back almost, depending on what speed you're going.
But yeah, I mean, you bring up a good point. In a big city, 30 minutes doesn't really get you too far usually. So
sometimes you plug an address into your GPS and you're in the Des Moines area, and it says, okay, it's going to take you 20 minutes, and you're going to go 3 miles.
Yeah.
And 15 stoplights.
Yep. Most of it's getting up to the interstate to go back over, to go 1 mile to go back down.
Right. So.
It happens. So let's talk a little bit about what this CCEDC, the Calhoun County Economic Development Corporation, what are you doing for the businesses that are already there, the entrepreneurs that are already there? How are you helping these businesses stay within the county, sustaining themselves? How are you helping them?
I would say our first our most effective tool in our toolbox right now is a revolving loan fund.
Okay.
I have a low interest revolving loan fund that we make available to businesses, new businesses, entrepreneurs, but also expanding businesses. Right. So you're not lost, you haven't lost out on that opportunity if you're already well established.
All right. Yeah.
Okay. So I really like that. What I don't like about it is it comes with regulation.
Okay.
And I'm sorry. Hello, welcome to the real world. Everything has regulations.
Yes.
And when somebody calls me and says, hey, I hear you got a revolving loan fund and I need $20,000 to start my business. And I'm said, great, I'm happy to help you. I need you to fill out an application. I need a business plan with projections and I need collateral.
Yeah.
And a lot of times it's like, I don't know how to do a business plan.
Yes, exactly.
And what do you mean by projections? So it's that whole business side of it. But then that's where collaboration comes into play. We work very well with the Small Business Development Center here out of Fort Dodge. We have a great relationship with them. I also have some mentors within the county that will help young entrepreneurs get to where they need to go. So it's that combination of, yes, we have some funds available, but I can put you in touch, and I'm going to do a plug here for SBDC. Their assistance is free.
Yes.
Is it really free? Nothing's really free.
Very good. Thank you. Yes, nothing's really free. There's some consequence that goes with it, even when it's free.
Right. I mean, it is government funded, but it's there. Mm-hmm. So harness it, take advantage of it, use it. I'm happy to guide people through that process, lend as much expertise as I can, but I'm a one-person office, so I get as involved as I can allow myself to get involved.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Well, and what you're saying is one of the drawbacks when they're working on it, because they have never done it before. They really need the coaching to understand what they need to do and how they need to put it together, and the reassurance that they're doing it correctly or making the changes that need to be done.
Exactly. And that succession planning as well. We see that so many of our farmers are going to be exiting over the next few years. The average age of a farmer is 57 years. So, and I've got a particular soft spot for agriculture. And that's our bread and butter.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's especially when you go into Pomeroy and you see they've got those big elevators right there in town. I don't know if
that's a feed mill.
I missed it. I missed.
That's a feed mill that's feeding all the hogs across the county.
All right.
There you go. You learned something today.
I did. Agriculture still ties into that.
It does.
It? Okay, cool.
Agriculture ties into everything in Iowa.
Honestly,
Pretty
yeah.
much.
I'd love to see the stats on that, like how much the revenue generated by agriculture versus other industries.
Are you serious? I can get that stuff for you.
All right. Okay. So I got something to do after work right now. So this is really cool.
You have homework.
I'll take it.
Great.
So I did a little bit of homework before this, though. I saw there was a Grow Here initiative. I don't know too much about it. Can you explain the significance of it and the impact that it has on the community?
I'm not sure about the impact yet.
Okay.
Because we launched in November.
Okay.
Okay. And what it was, so everything is driven by my strategic plan and those 4 priorities that I talked about. Everything centers around that because it's because there's so many different directions that we can go. I come back to that every day and remind myself, this is the mission. So Grow Here is telling our story. If you pay attention to Iowa Economic Development Authority at all and their guidance, it's all about telling the story. If you go to a conference this spring and you hear Director Debbie Durham speaking, it's all about telling our story. So Grow Here is telling our story. Grow Here, there's all this land available, if you can afford it. But we have great churches. We have great schools. We have communities that are focused on the people of the community. The opportunities that are here are unlimited. And we all learned through the pandemic, we can work from anywhere.
Very true.
Yes.
Very, very true.
So why not pay a lower cost of living, have access to great education, great recreation? In Calhoun County, we don't talk about recreation. Historically, we haven't, and that's changing. So if you invite me back in the future, we can talk about Calhoun County tourism.
All right. Absolutely.
And that is very true, that there is tourism in every county. Each one has a little bit different, depending on the geographic setup of the area, where Fort Dodge is very much into the rivers and trails and things like that. Calhoun County is more looking at
County parks.
Okay.
County parks. And, it's all in how you spin it, right? You people at Spin Marketing know all about spinning.
Yes, we know how to spin.
Okay. So it's how you spin it. And who knew that Calhoun County has the most beautiful Twin Lakes Bible Camp that has been in existence for years. I've started hosting events there.
And it's perfect for events.
It's perfect. It's beautiful. And you got the view of the lake. And so, you're going to see more marketing from Calhoun County about tourism, our destinations. I think there's 34 county managed parks.
Whoa. That's awesome. That's a lot.
For one county.
And our conservation director, they're exceptional. They put together, last summer, they put together a scavenger hunt.
Cool.
That took people all over the county looking for the scavenger items. And it was very well attended. And I went to him and I says, hey, when I develop this Leadership Calhoun, can you take May and create a scavenger hunt for me? And he says, of course I can.
We've done one for Leadership Fort Dodge. It is hysterical. They love it.
Exactly.
The competition and going and getting to who's going to get at the place first and who's going to get back first and what they're going to find on the way. Yeah, it's you'll enjoy it.
It's learning and it's fun. And anytime you can combine learning and fun, it's a win-win.
Yeah, especially about your local area. There's a lot of, I mean, I grew up in Humboldt County, and there's county parks in Webster I've never even been to. And I just recently went to a couple of them same thing with Pocahontas County. It's right next door. I just need to go.
Yep.
Just need to turn the corner and go down to Calhoun and explore a little bit there next.
Definitely need you to come visit Calhoun County.
I would love to see some of the parks there. There's some gems that are just they're
hidden.
They're hidden. They're really not hidden though, because they're on websites and you can go find them. Sometimes you have to go down a gravel road a mile to find them, but there are really some really awesome parks out there that are
very nice parks.
So I'm excited. I'm going to. You said 34 parks. I'm going to go start looking them up after this.
That's a good challenge.
That's the right number.
Yes.
It's either 32 or 34. I give them the benefit of the doubt here.
Okay.
I'm loving that. So I'm definitely going to go start looking that up. Maybe I got something to do after work if the wind dies down. I don't know. We'll see what happens here.
There you go.
Can you highlight any recent projects that have positively impacted your county's livability in Calhoun?
Most definitely. And it was the opportunity in Rockwell City, the county seat. We had no grocery store.
Oh, yeah.
For 2.5 years, 3 years. And Fairway.
Yes, they stepped up, didn't they?
I tell people all the time, it's the best thing to happen to Calhoun County in 50 years. And not only was it great to have them come in, but the sustainability, and they are still growing after 3.5 years. Their numbers are still growing. And that's fantastic.
Are you talking Rockwell City's numbers are growing or the Fairway's numbers are growing?
Fairway's numbers. I talked to Dave Kistenmacher. He's our manager. I talk to him once a week at least. And I say, where are things at this week? He says, we're still growing. They keep track of the license plates in the parking lot. And he says, people are coming from all over.
Nice.
If there's a sporting event in town, people are hitting Fairway before they leave.
Right. Going to do their shopping before they head home real quick.
I know people that work in Fort Dodge that live in Sac County, and Fairway is their number one grocery store.
Oh, wow.
In Rockwell City. Because it's such a nice store. It's not too big, but it has everything you need. And if there's something that they don't have that you want, all you got to do is ask. And 9 times out of 10, they'll bring it in for you.
Yeah.
So I think Fairway is our biggest success story of right now.
I would have to say, like, I've worked in the grocery industry. I worked there for 10 plus years. I kind of recently got into this whole like food desert thing that people are talking about, which I don't know if you would technically call the county in any capacity a food desert, but having driven through different little counties, going to different places, if you take the back roads, sometimes you're like, there's not a gas station in this town or things like that. So having a grocery store would have to be, I mean, it would mean so much to not only Rockwell City, but the entirety of the county.
Well, and when we look at our aging population, they're out there in these rural communities. And if they can't get groceries, it's a hardship.
Absolutely. I mean, especially when you think, if you live in, one end of Calhoun County, where's the closest place to go? If it's Fort Dodge, you got to drive half an hour plus just to get groceries.
And you got to manage Fort Dodge.
Oh, true. Yeah.
I'm sorry. Fort Dodge is a great community, but it's not as easy to manage your way around, especially with all the construction right now.
Yeah.
Construction means new stuff.
It does.
So
and
we're
it's
happy
a
with
positive.
construction.
It's a positive. But it's for someone who is not used to it, it's a real challenge.
Yeah.
And it's really easy to get to Fairway in Rockwell City.
Yeah.
So come check us out.
I do know somebody that recently started working there. I mean, probably about a year or so ago. So it makes sense because I didn't know there was a Fairway in Rockwell City. And that makes sense because you said 3 years ago it was up. So
It's 3 years in February.
nice. That's really cool. I love having that kind of stuff, come into towns and actually see the impact that it's making. And nothing against like the small town grocery stores, because those are definitely much needed as
Very
well,
much.
for sure. I mean, especially if you just need to run across town and grab something, gallon of milk, something like that. They work out so well, and there's a lot of towns that have those and they need them. But having something of that tool, not too many miles away is also really good as well.
The other thing that I find from Fairway is the leadership that they bring to the community.
Okay.
Not only are they providing an essential service, but their leadership is invested in our community. Dave Kistemacher, I mentioned him before. He is on our board of directors for Calhoun County Economic Development. And why wouldn't he be? Mm-hmm. He brings so much experience, and he brings the power of Fairway to the board,
Right.
To decision making, and to new ideas, and not afraid to say what he thinks and bring really, really good ideas and support to the things that we're trying to do with our 4 strategic priorities.
Well, and you also have another Calhoun County former person that lived in Calhoun County that's in Fairway in their marketing department.
I didn't know that.
Elijah Johnson?
Oh, Elias.
Elias Johnson, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Elias Johnson from Manson.
Manson, which is Calhoun County.
He is
Yes.
VP of Communications
Yes.
at the Fairway Corporate.
That's right.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that was just recently. It
is.
It was after the
It's
Rockwell
been
City
within
one.
the last year. Yeah, that was one of my first contacts. It was like, what are you doing? This is great, dude.
Yes.
Can you do this for me? And I got a yes.
Yes, I'm sure you did.
So, yeah, it's really great to have that connection.
He really supports the community that he grew up in.
He does, bringing it back home.
So we talked about how you brought Fairway to Rockwell City, or
Well, I didn't.
You
the
didn't.
community did.
The community did, yes.
You can take credit for it.
So what about the Calhoun County Economic Development Center? What are some other, success stories you have about bringing businesses into town, or what are you doing objective wise to bring these businesses or to entice them to kind of want to come to your county and build in one of your towns?
It's all about entrepreneurship, but we really want those people to come back home. They've got a built-in market just by sometimes their last name.
Exactly.
It's all about reputation and family ties, and helping them come back and say, you can do this here. So let me help you. And I go back to our RLF, our revolving loan fund. I lead with that because that's what I have available. But we just recently compiled a list of available properties, available buildings. Sometimes we don't think about those things that, you could maybe pick this up for a song, do some renovation. By the way, there's catalyst grants. There's other different kinds of grants that are out there to restore, especially historic preservation. And we use that to, spin good ideas. So I recently applied for a boost grant through Iowa Economic Development Authority and Empower Rural Iowa. And I am so proud to say we have been awarded.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. So Calhoun County is fortunate that Highway 20 goes right through it. 4-lane Highway 20. And we have the intersection of Highway 4 and Highway 20. And we have the Calhoun County Business Park, which was very visionary on the part of the Calhoun County Board of Supervisors and the Calhoun County Economic Development Corporation. They purchased some land there and have developed it. Sparky's one-stop truck stop.
And Sparky's one-stop truck stop won a award recently for biofuels.
Biofuel marketing.
Yes, biofuel marketing, yes, because
Yep.
we remember the Iowa Central Biofuel Day that they were up there and they had just come from Sparky's.
Yep, Secretary and Ag.
Yes.
Yes. So Sparky's is really the anchor there. But we have 13 acres of developed, shovel-ready property. And we're just waiting for the right business to come along.
A hotel?
And say, I want to be there. A hotel would be great.
It's far enough from some of the bigger communities that it would be really.
Actually, along Highway 20, the closest hotels on Highway 20 are at Webster City or Holstein. That's 100 miles.
Yes, in between. So it would definitely
it would be
behoove
ideal.
somebody to invest in that.
Yep. And I've been trying. I got told, let's wait and see what happens after the election. And then the election happened. And it's like, let's just wait and see how things smooth out here. Okay, I'm ready.
I see a reel here that we need to have to help promote that for you.
Yes.
Absolutely.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, I do feel like having Highway 20 finally get completed, which was started before my lifetime and it's finally done. I feel like now the development needs to happen on Highway 20 because there's a lot of stuff that is kind of just off of 20, 3 or 4 miles or something like that. And you guys could be a trendsetter out there. Like you said, there's not a whole lot once you go coast to coast on it, unless you're going directly through a town. There's really not a whole lot right off of 20 that you can just exit off of and grab something.
Exactly. And with the Boost Grant, the application that I wrote was to form a strategic marketing plan to get in front of the right people to fill that Calhoun County Business Park.
I love it.
Working with site selectors. Development is really difficult for me because I'm a results-driven person. I make things happen. And I pride myself in that I make things happen quickly.
Development doesn't happen that way.
It never happens quickly. And so I think anything that we could garner or get attention to at this point, I'm not going to be there when the end result is there. But a lot of satisfaction and hopefully getting something going.
Yeah.
And so with our strategic marketing plan, that's the first step. You know that?
Yep.
And that's the way we're going to proceed.
That's the same conversation we have with clients. And I use the term, you have to go through the rough before you get to the fluff. You have to go through all the stuff, behind the door stuff that nobody pays any attention to or actually sees you even doing before you get to see the fun fluff.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
and sometimes that takes a long time.
It takes a long time. You have to be very patient.
Yep. And you can pull your hair out.
yeah. I mean, we're seeing that with, like you said, sometimes you don't realize even on our end, it's like, well, we have to do this, 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 and this. And then when you get everybody in the same room, you're like, oh, this is going to be a lot of work. So you send everyone home with a little bit of homework, and you're like, okay, so if you can do this and you can do this and you can do this, we can get it all done by next week. Then we can kind of start the ball rolling. And it's quite a process just to get things in motion. But usually once they're in motion, that's the fluff.
Yes.
That's the good part.
My favorite word of the day, every day, is collaboration.
Absolutely.
Because one person can't make everything happen. Now, one contact can make a lot of things
Very
happen.
much so. That networking and knowing just who to talk to and when.
It's who you know, not
Yes.
what you know. And that's probably the most important part of my job is collaboration, and knowing the right people.
Yeah. I mean, that's definitely just getting things started and knowing the right people is definitely half the battle. So let's kind of go down to something along those lines. What are some of the challenges you're facing at the county? Maybe workforce development wise, let's just go down that avenue. How are they being addressed for workforce? You kind of mentioned you want people to come back to the county. What are some of those challenges you're overcoming?
Well, grow here.
Yeah.
That's the start.
Yep.
Come back, grow your family here. You grew up here. So come back here, bring your kids. They're closer to grandpa and grandma. You know the church, you know the school. Just come back here and grow here. And that's really the first step. And then succession planning, so important. And the generation that will soon be exiting or should be exiting and going into retirement, they have not planned well. And I hear this every day. Plumbers and electricians, they're such a hard working group of people, and they're working until they drop over. And they're not bringing anybody up behind them because those people were going to go on to bigger and better things. We have to focus more on the trades. We need these people to do the essential services, and trying to really cultivate that and talk to these people about, we really need your kind. And this is a great place to live, and it's close to grandma, and you're going to make a boatload of money.
The money is very good. And the other thing that's great out there for succession planning is bringing in apprentice programs.
You bet.
That is really, we have numerous clients that are really embracing the apprentice programs.
Absolutely.
And seeing huge success with them, and really being able to not only train them in the field that they're talking about, but also train them in the right way, so that they have that customer service and everything else that goes along with it. That's so important.
Well, a lot of times when these younger people are coming back to the community, they want to make X amount of dollars because, if they were in the city, they could be making this much money. And it's like, you can make that kind of money here, but you do have to work for it.
Right.
And that expectation has to be managed. And that's why it's so important to show up on time, give 100%, put your phone away, ask for help when you need help.
Yeah, definitely.
But some of these businesses that are exiting have reputations. And if you can come in on their shirt tails, your market is made.
Right, yes. So true. So true.
And
you cannot put a price tag on that.
You can't.
And you cannot emphasize it enough.
Correct.
Until they really see, all you have to bring up is the name of the company. And, okay, well, I already know about them.
I hear that all the time.
Yes.
When people call our business, I'll say, how did you get to us? You're a new customer. Well, so-and-so told me about you. You did this for them. Can you do this for me? And that word of mouth advertising, you can't put a price tag on that.
Can't put a price tag on it.
And you don't know what social media that they got it from, but just be glad they got it.
Absolutely. You mentioned succession planning. The first time I ever thought about succession planning was I thought, I have a company and I want to pass it down to somebody else, maybe in my family or somebody else at the business, and have this company outlive me. But there could be a succession planning within the industry, which I think you're kind of also referencing to, where it could be this, let's just say, I'm just throwing out a plumber. There's plumber company A, and they're the dominant plumber company in the area. And when that person retires, the company just goes away, and now you have a void. There's no succession planning within the industry in and of itself, which I think is something that definitely gets overlooked by people, because they'll think, like you said, I come into this town, you could just work under this person for 10 years and now you're an expert. And when they leave, now you're the expert. But some people don't want to wait that long, and it's unfortunate, because I think sometimes they get, I don't want to say like blinded by the dollar signs in a big city, not realizing that the cost of living in a big city is going to eat up most of that higher wage that maybe you could have earned down there. But also, if you're servicing a whole county, you could do pretty well up here too.
It's called paying your dues.
Yes.
And from the seat that I sit in economic development, I really feel like it's my responsibility to help find these people. I had someone walk in my office one day, and he wanted to start a plumbing business. I said, great, we need plumbers. And I said, okay, so he needed some RLF funds. I said, great, that's something we can get behind. I need this, and this. Oh, and by the way, I need your certification. He says, well, I don't have a certification. I said, well, you have to have that. He says, no, I don't. I said, yeah, you do. And so it's a lot of educational processing going on. And it's my responsibility to make sure that people aren't coming in thinking they can do this when really
They don't have the skills. And
or you can do it for so long until you can't get general liability insurance.
Oh yeah. So I mean, this could come down to something where this might just be me thinking this way. Like, why wouldn't you want to learn behind somebody and learn the how the business actually runs, so that if you need to start one, when the time comes, you can. I get that everybody wants to get out of a trade or get out of college and start their own business and make all the money for themselves, because that's just kind of how the world is wired now. But
it is.
You mentioned it. You have to pay your dues, and part of that is learning the stuff that you've learned the trade. Now you need to learn how the business actually works on the back end. You need to learn about licensing and all this other stuff, certifications and everything that maybe is something you might have overlooked.
Yep.
On your way in. So
it's unfortunate that we don't have a full picture, and shame on us as business leaders for not providing that clear picture, which that's the whole idea behind Leadership Calhoun, is what are we missing with our youth today, and how can we help them be better prepared and understand? And Leadership Calhoun is nothing new. It's a ripoff from Leadership Iowa, right?
yes, very much.
Yep, that's where
And
we
you're a
started.
graduate of Leadership Iowa as
I
well.
am.
Yes,
I am.
so am
You
I.
graduated what year? Go ahead, tell us.
07, 08.
And I'm a graduate of 2019,
Oh, wow.
2020.
Okay.
The most virtual class
Yes,
ever.
exactly.
And also the best class ever.
No, we were the best class ever.
Now, if you're a
Okay.
Leadership Iowa alum, you know what that's all
Yes,
about.
exactly.
I do not know.
It's a battle back and forth all the time. If you find out anybody that's from Leadership Iowa, that's going to be the banter going back and forth.
Yep.
Well, you had mentioned Leadership Calhoun. Let's talk a little bit about that. What is it? What inspired it? Let's say somebody's listening to this and they're like, I don't know what Leadership Iowa is. I don't know what Leadership Calhoun is. Maybe they've heard of something adjacent to that. What exactly is the initiative behind that?
Our initiative came out of our strategic plan, and it's community development and capacity building. And the way that I sold it to the people on our strategic planning committee is that I looked at city council leadership across Calhoun County. In one of the last elections, there were 42 city council seats available. There were 38 candidates.
Not even enough to fill them.
And it was like, we have a leadership problem here. We need people to step up and lead. And are they not doing it because they're not prepared? They're shy? Or nobody's ever asked them?
Yeah.
All of the above.
I mean,
Exactly.
could be. Yeah. I mean, there's probably a lot of people that are great candidates that just don't know that they would be a good candidate.
Exactly. So, and then it also goes back to that entrepreneur development. What don't you know about business that you maybe should know? I had those aha moments the whole time I went through Leadership Iowa. It was like, who knew this was in Iowa?
Very true.
Yeah. So that's how it all started. And so then we started designing the program. And fortunately for me, being an alumni of Leadership Iowa, I've been able to use my resources. There again, I applied for the Leadership Boot Camp grant through Empower Rural Iowa and was selected. And so I have a mentor that's helping me develop Leadership Calhoun, but it has plugged me into this network of people that who knew these people were right here at my disposal, and they want to help. Mm-hmm. And so we started designing I visited Leadership Fort Dodge.
Right. We just graduated our
Yes, you did.
19th class of over 500 leaders.
That's amazing.
New leaders in the community.
And we're going to start our first class of 14 in October.
Excellent. Very happy for you.
Well, it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It is. I've been on, I was in the 05-06 class, when the very first class of leadership ever, and I've been on the steering committee ever since.
I have a great steering committee, and I am so impressed with them and what they bring to the table and the ideas that they have. And it's like all that we really needed was just somebody to say, okay, I'm going to lead this. Tell me what needs to be done. What are we missing? There again, it come back to collaboration, the word of the day.
So how is this all structured? So like, let's say somebody signs up for Leadership Calhoun. What can they expect being in the program?
Well, I'm ripping off Leadership Iowa as much as I can. You have to be nominated.
Okay.
But you can self-nominate as well. So once you nominate or you're nominated, you get an application, and they have to fill out the application, tell us why they should go through this program. What do they expect to get out of it? What have they done in their community to prepare themselves to be a leader? You know, how are you involved? Are you involved in your church? Are you involved in your school? Are you coaching Little League? How are you demonstrating that you are a potential leader? And those applications will come in. We had 20 people nominated just from my board of directors.
Very good number.
So that's where I started with the board of directors. And those applications have gone out to those people. They will be submitting them. And from those people and anybody that we capture from our social media and our website, then we will have a selection process, and we'll come to 14. And then in October, we will launch.
Awesome. So what are some of the programs? Like what would you be doing on a day-to-day basis with this?
Once we get involved or in the development of?
Any of it, I guess. This is all new enough to me, and I didn't do enough reading about it. I kind of know what goes on at Leadership Fort Dodge, just based on the fact that I've sat around people that are involved in it, so I've kind of got to hear them talk about it a little bit. But I guess what makes yours unique, or what you had mentioned doing a scavenger hunt, and things like that. Is this just to kind of get people to know different areas within the county of how they can work, like this industry, that industry, this is also here. We have community activism here. These people are leaders you can follow maybe in their footsteps doing these types of things? Or do you have like different projects that you have them work on when they come to do these meetings? Or
Okay, so when we start this program in October, our first session is going to be all about the leader in you. And it's all about personal development. We're going to use Clifton Strength Finders to figure out, what makes me tick. And it's really all about you that first session in October. And then in November, we're going to talk about the important topic of healthcare. And not just physical health, mental health, spiritual health, and where can you get the services that you need in the county. So then we go into healthcare. And then the next month, we're going to go into local government. And these sessions are one day, 8 to 5.
Okay, so it's a whole day.
It's a whole day immersion. It's a whole day immersion into a topic, or an overarching topic, I should say.
I will say that local government is probably way more interesting than I ever thought it would be. Everyone always said like, oh, you got to vote in your local elections because they matter more. And like, well, guess what they do? They actually do, and it's one of those things. It wasn't until sitting down with some people that work in county governments and local governments here, I was like, oh, they actually do a lot of decision making and impact a lot of people's lives.
Well, they impact your life.
Yeah.
Directly.
Oh, yeah. A lot more than...
More ways than one.
Yeah.
Exactly.
A lot more than some other politicians might. Because, I mean, you'd think...
It starts at the local level.
It certainly does. Yeah.
Yeah. So city council members, school board members, those kinds of people will come in and share a story. Again, it's all about telling stories. So we'll do local government and state government along with that. We'll get some state legislators to come in and talk to us. But in January, we're going to actually go out to the state capitol. I think it's January, might be February. Planning 9 months, and it all goes back and forth. It is in February that we're going to take a bus trip down to the state capitol and meet with our state legislators. I have it in there.
Cool.
I actually worked in the Iowa State House for 10 years. Last year was my last year. And so I know the people who are willing to help me, and we'll have some really good conversations.
Are you going to go to the Supreme Court?
I hope we have enough time.
Okay.
The Supreme Court is such a unique place.
It really is, and you just can't walk into the Supreme Court.
No.
So having the program set up there and going in is a true honor.
It is. It truly is. And it's just going to be a time constraint. It's on my, I want to do this, but we'll see how it all
and it is.
shakes out.
You got the drive time and everything else in there, and then trying to squeeze all the other important things into it as well.
Right. And a lot of people haven't ever been to the state capitol.
Yep.
And just the tour alone is a hoot. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's so much to see.
And take them all the way to the top.
Somebody will, but I won't. No, I don't go to the top of the dome. I like I said, I worked there for 10 years and I've never went to the top.
So as we kind of get close to winding this down, do you have a message, something you would like to convey to anybody, potential investors, potential residents, somebody looking to move their business in there, anybody that's looking at Calhoun County a different way now? Do you have a message to them that you would like to kind of try to convey to them about what Calhoun County is and why it's so special?
Wow. Grow here. CalhounCountyIowa.com.
Great website, by the way. I actually liked looking around on that website. It was fun. And then I don't want to be like, hey, but that's not one that we built, is it? No,
we did not. But
that is a great website.
Yes, you did a good job.
Yeah,
we are always willing to compliment anybody that does a good job.
Yeah,
it was a lot of fun.
That's cool. You build it, or you had a hand in it? I'm sure.
I had a big hand in it.
Nice.
The success of our website, I think, right now, is I have a great videographer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that makes all the difference.
I have a great web guy, or a drone guy.
I was going to say the drone shots were good.
Yeah.
He's amazing. And he's, again, a collaboration. He is a true partner. Calhoun County is involved in Hub 712.
Out of Carroll.
Out of Carroll. Mm-hmm. And I found...
And Kim did such a great job in getting all that put together.
She sure did. Kim Tiefenthaler.
Yes.
Kimberly Tiefenthaler.
Yes.
But through our relationship with Hub 712, we met some really good people and collaboration. Mm-hmm. You help me, I'll help you. Together, we'll build something beautiful. Here it is.
I love it. So I will have to say, check out that website, cruise around, see what they've got there. I've got a link down below to it. But before you scoot off today, I do have one question to ask you. Teresa, I ask everybody this question. So I'm not isolating you out here or anything, but everybody answers it a little differently, and that's kind of the fun part about it. Can you name a time in your life where marketing impacted you and you possibly didn't know it until afterwards? This could be at your work. This could be in a past job you've had. This could be watching TV at nighttime. This could be driving from one place to the next, seeing a billboard. It could be anything, honestly.
The marketing that has impacted me the most is through meeting people and through collaboration.
Mm-hmm.
In this role as Executive Director of Calhoun County Economic Development, I set forth myself initially to make connections with people, because people make things happen. Things don't make things happen. People do. So I reached out to legislative officials and their staff early in this journey of mine at economic development. Because I came into here not really knowing what I was doing, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah.
So I reached out to Senator Ernst's office, Congressman Feenstra's office, Senator Grassley's office, Congresswoman Ashley Hinson, the governor's office, and said, help me. Tell me what I need to know. I'd like to get to know you on a basic level, so you know what's going on in Calhoun County. Or when somebody says, do you know what's going on in Calhoun County? You can say, yes, I do. So it's just making people aware of who we are and that we are on the map. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know we're on the map. So that marketing and those meetings that I have, sometimes quarterly, sometimes once a year, twice a year, has come back to probably the highlight of my career. And that was the day that I got a call from Senator Ernst's office. A Washington, D.C. number popped up on my phone. And it's like, well, I'm going to answer that. Mm-hmm. And it was Senator Ernst's office inviting me to come and testify before Congress or the Senate in the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee about succession planning and how it relates to rural Iowa. And it was like, wow. That only happened because I talk to people. And I talk to people who I know are influential and people who make things happen. Mm-hmm. And so that's how marketing brought something really special to me and my career. It was a highlight.
Yeah.
It was great.
I mean, it sounds like it even brought something great to your community. Let's be honest. I mean, your involvement is should not be undersold in this.
Well, thank you. Yeah. Thank you. I like to. I want to put us on the map.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of great things that go on in Calhoun County that I think get swallowed up by the Webster County kind of stuff. Because I think like Crash My Crater. Well, that's actually in Manson. That's Calhoun County.
That's Calhoun County.
You know, I mean, there's a lot of traction from Fort Dodge.
And there's a lot of fun talking about that story behind the Crash the Crater.
One thing I'm really proud of, and I have had a hand in this, is in September, RVTV.
Oh, yes.
Is coming back to Calhoun County. This is the fourth time in a row because they came to Rockwell City in 19. They came to Rockwell City in 21. In 23, they went to Manson. In 25, they're going to Lauraville, Iowa.
That's awesome. Lauraville. That's sweet.
Love it. Love it.
That's fun. I was actually at that Manson one. It was packed. That was packed. Fun.
It was, and we started that in 2019 in Rockwell City. At the time I was working for the chamber, and I said, guys, I put this application in. We'll see where it goes. And it came back to us. And then they came back to us again in 21. And then Elias Johnson had everything to do
with the Manson one.
With Manson. And then this year I reached out to John Sears at WHO and said, hey, if you're looking for a really fun party stop, Lauraville, Iowa is it. And I got a text message back that says, okay, we want to come to Lauraville. I says, wait a minute, I got to go talk to them, see if they want to.
And make sure. I did this before even asking them, right?
I did.
Yes, good.
I did. Good. And when I went to...
Because they might have discouraged you and said...
Right.
But now that they know that they're going to be online, they're willing to probably, hopefully.
Yeah, they did. When I went and visited with the team at Lauraville, I says, you're either going to love me or you're going to kick me out of town. Overwhelmingly, they said, yeah, we want to do this. And it's like, you do want to do this. This is great fun.
I mean, those RVTVs are tons of fun. If you've never been to one, I suggest going to one. If you're listening to this, I was going to say, you're probably close to Lauraville if you're listening to this. So swing over to Lauraville, check it out. Because, I mean, we're talking live music, vendors, there's entertainment. I mean, it's just basically a block party for the whole town almost,
And the premise behind it, though, we need to tell them is the Iowa State game. And the RV travels across the area to whatever town is hosting it, because one time it's in Ames and one time it's in Iowa City.
Yep. And all the really good Hawkeyes will be out there. There'll be a few Cyclones too.
Well, you have to have a good mix.
Yeah. Lauraville's predominantly Cyclones. So us Hawkeyes got to hold our own. So if you're a Hawkeye, make sure you come out. It's September 3rd. In Lauraville, Iowa.
Nice. That'll be awesome. We're going to put a link down below to the social media for Calhoun County Economic Development Corporation, as well as your website. So make sure you follow along and keep a peek out for that, because it's going to be on the social media. I'm sure you guys are going to be sharing it on there and letting everybody know that that's going on. So scroll into the descriptions, check it out. Is there anything we didn't cover here that we should have covered that you want to possibly talk about that's a hot button thing that you're surprised I didn't bring up?
Well, Calhoun County is open for business. Come grow here. We're good people. One thing that we didn't talk about is that Calhoun County has less than 10,000 residents.
Oh, wow.
You know, and I go to some of these conferences, I go to workshops, and they'll say, well, how big is Calhoun County? It says 9,700 people. I said, we have more hogs than we do people.
Yes.
And more turkeys.
Oh, wow. I wouldn't have known that.
Oh, it's huge. It's a huge county for turkeys.
I guess, yeah, now that you mention it, because you go further west, there are some processing places.
Yeah, Storm Lake.
Yeah.
Shirley.
Nice. Okay,
Yeah.
I guess
See, you learn
I
all
didn't
kinds
put
of
two and
stuff
two
today.
together. The turkey's got to come from somewhere.
Exactly. They got to come, and the closer they are, the better it is because they don't have to have that travel time and everything else.
Yep.
That's
So
all.
there's a lot going on in Calhoun County.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just got to come looking for it.
Do you have anything to add to this, Cheryl?
Yes, I do. We have a tradition that we've started. We want you to rub Buster the Bulldog's head for good luck.
I would be honored
Yes.
to rub Buster's head because he's not live.
He's not live, and he just illuminates good luck.
Yes.
Well, good. I need all the luck I can get.
Oh, well, we wish you good luck, and thank you very much for coming here and talking about Calhoun County and all the things that are going on there and economic development. And I'm very proud that you're starting a leadership program. That's just wonderful.
Well, you know, it's people like you that help people like me.
Oh, thank you.
I think you were one of the first people to reach out to me when I landed in this role, and I didn't know you at that point. And it was like, this is great. You know, and it's a number of mentors have come into my life since I've come into this role, and I'm so grateful and I'm so blessed to know the people I do and to make good friends.
Well, and that networking really pays off for everybody in the long run.
I hope
you don't
so.
know, it's not going to happen necessarily the next day, but it will happen.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. This podcast is produced by Spin Market and Digital. Located in Fort Dodge, Iowa, Spin Market's highly skilled team can help you increase your market by updating your website, improving SEO, designing advertisements, and producing podcasts that will grab the attention of your market. Contact Spin Market today for all your digital marketing needs at digitalagent@spinmarket.com or call us at 515-302-8026. And to learn more, visit our website at www.spinmarket.com. That's digitalagent@spinmarket.com or 515-302-8026. Or visit our website at www.spinmarket.com.